Hey guys, and welcome back. Today, with our interview podcast thingamajig, we're going to have a chat to the couple of the guys from Jagex. It's Dave Osbourne, who's the RuneScape lead design, and Kevin Grantham, who's the project lead. And we're going to be talking all about the Land Out of Time expansion. Hope you enjoy.
Cool. First off, thanks for taking time out of your morning to have a chat.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. First off, can we just talk about the scope of this update? Because when it's announced and we're seeing all these videos, it looks like quite a big one.
Yeah, it is a big one. It's probably one of the biggest ones that we've done for quite a while, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're looking at kind of sheer map size, it's probably the biggest expansion we've done.
Yeah.
There's a degree of exploration in there. Obviously, you're kind of wandering the jungles and swamps of this new biome. So it's a little bit more sprawling for that reason. But yeah, and it covers a lot of our content. It plugs into 3 of our core skills and skills away the way that really kind of players train or represent their achievements in the game. So it's covering a large proportion of the game as well.
Yeah. I think we've tried to be really good rewards as well that sort of shift up the gameplay. So make it a bit different, really change up what people are doing on a day-to-day basis.
And plus, if you're going to have big dinosaurs, you want a big place to stuff them into.
That's it, yeah.
They've got to wander freely. We're not going for battery T-Rexes and things like
that. So obviously, with a massive map, we got to fill it with things. What do you think will be the first thing players will want to go? We're going to the island, we're going to do this.
So the first thing that players will actually encounter is we sort of take them on a journey from the landing site on the dock on the shore, and then we guide them through to a base camp, which is this big old ruined temple that you come across, and this is basically a place of safety and security. You can protect yourself from the dinosaurs. There's one way in, one way out, and this is meant to be a persistent piece of gameplay. So you are going to be able to build this up over time. So you gather resources each day. And then from there, you can build up your base camp, you get new buildings, you unlock perks and benefits for doing this. And then that leads out into all the other content that is on the island.
Yeah, if I'm a player, I'm going to be beelining to Big Game Hunter personally.
Yeah.
Big Game Hunter is where it's at, because that's the new thing. That's the real innovation. That's trying to take a lot of stuff that we do with bossing in combat. So combat, you go to a big boss encounter, you can learn all of its mechanics, strategies, and waves. You're going to try to take it down, and then you're going to get an amount of loot that makes you better at doing combat. So you know that from bossing, and we want to bring that feeling, that strategy, to what we traditionally in non-combat terms is quite grindy. Yeah. And we want to bring that intensity, that engagement, that fun into non-combat. And that's really, and obviously there's the visual awesomeness of suddenly having this looming, kind of stegosaur-like creature or T-Rex-like creature, and knowing that you can't kill it. There's no way you can kill it, so all you can do is try to take it down with traps. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's a lot of games within a game, in terms of, big game hunting. It's almost its own little thing in terms of mechanics and how they work. How does the brainstorming process come about in terms of figuring out what to put in this?
Oh, that was a big old process. Basically, we took, I think it was about 2 weeks out, and we just kind of booked out an entire room in the office and just wrote on every single wall. We had Post-its covering everywhere, just all these ideas, and then we started fleshing them out, seeing which bits we liked, which we didn't like. We started doing paper prototypes, actually testing things, because some of the things we just didn't know if they were going to work. We were experimenting with going out in the car park and playing them out in real life. all these sort of things, just sort of narrow it down. And even then, it's there's way more ideas than we could possibly do in the time we have.
There's also other avenues of creativity that came from it. Was obviously we have a game that's been around 15 years, and there are certain things that the game doesn't offer or could do with kind of modernization or fixing. And so we looked at it through that lens too. So the update actually, we've got an agility skill that doesn't really offer a reason to train it. And basically this update gives you that reason with new abilities. And that it can also be somewhat tiresome to train, because you can do little loops around agility courses. We've now given an island-wide agility course. You're doing all of the island at once, navigating it almost parkour-like, Mirror's Edge style. So we're also looking at how can this contribute to the game? Can we look at it 5 years down the line and say, yeah, you know what? Land Out of Time really made RuneScape a better place to be.
Because it sounds like in terms of base skills, things are getting a lot of reworks lately. We had mining and smithing, and then we've got the new hunting method. We've got the new agility stuff as well. Is there any sort of, I guess, new skill mechanic that you looked at but maybe didn't work out with the island?
Things that were dropped. I mean, there always is. There, you know.
Yeah.
You got to cast your mind back to the original brainstorms.
So long ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's when we put down the kind of big game hunter dinosaurs, we've been talking about like we love the idea of taking them down with traps, kind of using a bit of stealth, hiding in reeds and things like that to try to hide from these dinosaurs. But when you see them stomping around the game world, you can't help but think, I also want to try to fight them. Obviously, boss players, there are combat players. So we talked around the prospect or possibility of taking them on in one-on-one combat as real top-end fighting. So that was in the mix at one point. But really, we kind of narrowed down early. I think there's also this expectation. If you're going to get a Dino Island, there's certain things that you expect to be there. Like if I had a dinosaur island and I didn't get the possibility of, you know, fighting them or going out, like being a kind of almost coming to the continent for the first time, because that's a lot of the theme and the story around the island, that I'm one of the first mortals to come to this area, then there's also that expectation to have, you know, setting up a base camp, a safe haven that you then work out from. So a lot of that was talk to players who play testing, what they expect from the content too, and delivering on it.
That's it. One of the things that we did play with, we had the idea of this like ancient being on the island, and it just kind of like lived there for like thousands of years. And we like play tested, we got into game and everything, but it just didn't work because of our draw distance. It always didn't quite click together. So we kind of like discarded that quite early.
Yeah.
You mentioned story there. Is this something that's also tying into, I guess, the boat that's being built for many years, and the museum and the dig site and all this, and I guess culminating together?
Yeah, you're absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you touched on one of the big reasons that we wanted to do this. Was I think it was almost 10 years ago.
It was 11.
It was 11 years ago. We first put in Baroque Museum. You progressed, you know, you filled out Baroque Museum, and towards the end of it, you realised or unlocked the knowledge that you were going to build. The museum was building a barge to an island called Fossil Island. So we kind of seeded the idea of a continent far off to the northwest, northeast, that housed a lot of fossils, that housed, you know, previous kind of these primitive kind of monsters. So there's obviously the story of, you know, when are we going to get there? Players wanting it for years and years. We haven't delivered it. Like, we've waited 10 years for this thing. And people, they're still making the boat to take you there. It's almost farcical now. So there's that little story we want to deliver on. But there's also one of the joys of RuneScape is the building blocks are relatively simple. And that allows us to do episodic storytelling really well. We can tell stories with each game update. And we update, you know, often weekly. And so we decided that we were going to see if we could do episodic storytelling kind of week on week, and building up. So we started, actually we seeded it with an event that we did called Song Seren, and then we did a quest called Desperate Times, introducing the characters and the idea of a character, Carapac, flying over to this kind of clouded land, the cloud bank off to the northeast of the game map, and players just speculating about what that cloud bank might be, what's underneath it, what's Carapac's plan. And then got Breaking the Storm event that's coming out today. That players are kind of finishing off the boat, learning more about where they're about to go. So yeah, we want to kind of almost deliver that soap opera storytelling. I check in each week, and it develops, the characters develop, and Land Out of Time being obviously one of the biggest beats of that. So yeah, we're delivering on 10 years worth of kind of promise, but also now really feeling like it's ramping up, and it won't stop with Land Out of Time as well.
I think what's quite entertaining as well about the whole story, like we're launching the event today, where we're going to finish off building the boat. But as far as all the characters in game are concerned, they're still going to the Fossil Island. They're going to this like dead place where everything is extinct, and they're just going to come across all these bones. And like, as we know, like what's actually there is completely different. So we're going to have this like it's completely
it's joyful and surprising because like our old school counterpart, our sister game, is has delivered Fossil Island, but the Fossil Island that is in our old school game is it really is fossil island. There's fossils in the ground. You're excavating them. It's dry. It's dusty. You're finding about back history, not current story. And it's been a real joy to subvert and surprise our players with, a lot of them don't know this is happening yet. With life, with dinosaurs suddenly stomping around them.
So you talk a lot about like players there and the speculation and everybody trying to put the puzzle pieces together. Is that fun being a part of the team and just sort of sitting back and just watching that happen?
Oh, it's a joy. Like every Monday when you drop an update and you just see the little conversations that are happening, and they pick up on the smallest little sentences and words, and they're pretty smart actually. Like they're things that we don't expect them to pick up on, and they're just like, oh wow, you really went there with it.
We really like to treasure hunt with our story and our lore. Yeah. The idea that we know full well that somebody will find that little Easter egg, that little drop that we put in there, a single word in an examine, and then it will spread. And we play with that, and that joy has really kind of grown ever since we started doing RuneFest, because we've got to meet our players face to face, understand what they love, understand what they have passion for, and we've all become very socially aware. We want to. I can't think of another game in the another studio in the industry who treats their developers as much as community managers. You're talking about your updates, you're posting concepts about it, you're building hype, getting people on the hype train, as we like to call it. So it's a beautiful reward loop. It feels very satisfying.
So the name for the update, the Land Out of Time, where did that come from?
My love for Littlefoot and the Don Bluth animation. We talked around it a lot, didn't we? It's had many names.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of fighting about what it should be called. But Land Out of Time to me, obviously there's Land Before Time, but there's also the Land that Time Forgot. There's this kind of almost a canon of dinosaur movies and novels and things like that it kind of harks back to, but yet it brings its own originality with the Land Out of Time, which really, I mean, if you pick that name apart, you're getting towards what the story is of the island. What does that mean, Land Out of Time? Also the real name, the in-world name, Anachronia, also helps to build that picture and helps foster that speculation. But there were others over, we've had other names that got discarded along the way.
We did have a lot of names,
the Shrouded Isles.
That's it,
various others. But this is the one that stuck for us.
I'd like to note next to that question in my notes, I have written Littlefoot. Was expecting.
A lot of people are reliving the trauma of Land Before Time through this update. We might drop in some Easter eggs as well. Yeah. It's probably the most unusual film property to reference with the modern day MMO, but let's go for it anyway.
So with the island as well, it looks like there's some Slayer content coming out as well. Can we talk about that a bit?
Yeah. There's a brand new Slayer Master, the highest level Slayer Master that we've done so far. This comes with a brand new mechanic that you'll get cluster tasks as well as your normal tasks. So rather than be assigned steel dragons, for example, you can get assigned dragons as a whole. So this basically means you have even more choice in what you do. So you can go out and kill any dragon in the game. So you can take down bosses, low level ones, high level ones, whatever you want to do, you can choose that. And we've got a range of cluster tasks that go across the entire game world. But actually on the island, there are 8 new Slayer creatures. So there are 4 dinosaurs that you can take down, and there are these 4 plant creatures that are these sort of vicious plant life that has come to life. And
carnivorous plants.
Yeah, and as you sort of go in range of them, they'll just sort of whip at you and spit poison at you and all these sort of things that you have to avoid.
Yeah.
The idea is that we really want to make the environment feel dangerous, and that when you venture out onto this island, it's this survival, actually staying alive here feels like an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
One of the, I want to mix it up as well. So obviously they've each got their own mechanics, so we're trying out new things with each of these mobs, but also the ability to grow your own plants is something new and different. The idea of, there are not enough creatures here to satisfy me. They're not respawning enough. I want to get some more experience with growing them. Let's chuck a seed down and take on my own, little shop of horror style plant. It's great.
So when you're designing something that's that insane as like carnivorous plants and everything, where do you draw inspiration from?
God, like.
Well, we've got so many things to pull from. What I love about so for example, the dinosaurs, we sit with concept artists, we talk it round, but the concept artists really liked insect themes. Because we knew that RuneScape was, we knew that we didn't just want to port dinosaurs into RuneScape. That's not what RuneScape does. For example, we'll have elves and dwarves, but we'll subvert that. It's something familiar that we'll subvert, and it'll be a different story. Something we always say is like in RuneScape, often that you'll be fighting the princess to get to the to rescue the dragon. There's always that degree of humor and originality and vibrancy. And so with the dinosaurs, we knew that we wanted that extra layer on top. And so a lot of what we pulled from was, as I said, insects. So you've got this kind of, what would a triceratops look if you brought in more of the stag beetle influence? And things like that. And so you'll see that in a lot of the kind of the dinosaur concepts and models that are there. And that's the creativity and imagination of our concept artwork team.
And they're brilliant. They came out with they went on a number of different directions as well. We went sort of plant-like dinosaurs to start off with. Trying
to fuse those two groups together, wasn't it? If you put dinosaurs and plants in the same place, then obviously they're going to bleed into each other in some way.
And we've also got a lot of elite outfits content coming up as well. How do you decide where to slot that into, I guess, the updates you're doing?
Yeah, we've got a complicated history with our elite outfits, because elite outfits are the pinnacle of any individual skill. If you have an elite outfit in that skill, it's got so many perks and benefits on it that you are effectively a master of that skill. But originally that came through kind of monetization methods. But we want to make sure we manage the life cycle of those items. They don't stay there. And so we kind of, over the time, we've bled them into the game. So now we're in a position where all of those outfits are now in game. Now we're starting to introduce new ones. Yeah. So we're going to see more and more allow elite outfits coming exclusively from, when I say in-game terms, from participating in in-game content rather than paying. We just got to be careful, because obviously they've got so many benefits that they really are like the item to own for any individual skill that, to be honest, you've got to make sure the hoops you jump through are pretty impressive.
Yeah. So for this island, is there any entry requirement?
So the only thing you need is membership. That is the only thing. To do individual bits of content, you will need some requirements. So for Big Game Hunter, you need level 75 Hunter, and the Slayer creatures start at 90 Slayer. Also, we have the Agility course as well, which you can start from level 30, but for the full course is level 85. But scattered across the island, we've got fishing spots, mining spots, various hunter methods spread across the island. So we've tried to give something for a range of players, and then the base camp as well has no requirements, and you can manage that right from the start, whether you're a new player or a veteran.
Yeah, if the island, if you're an explorer or a builder, you can come in right from the start. Just come in, explore, get yourself set up and building things. But if you want to get in on that kind of, if you want to take on the dinosaurs, that is something that comes in at latter levels, really. That's kind of how we want people to see it.
All right.
But hey, it's a fantastic game and there's lots of it. So come explore the island, see what there is to do, and then go play the rest of the game.
Yeah. So I guess the final question then is there anything else about this update you guys want to mention or that you're particularly hyped about?
I think what we've achieved with the dinosaurs is amazing. That twisted fairy tale version of them, they look absolutely stunning. I just love going around the island as a whole. It's literally the biggest landmass we've done in years, and you could just spend hours exploring it, navigating it, finding all these little secrets and dead ends, and it's just a pleasure to go around.
For me, a lot of it is the scope and scale. If a lot of people's memories of RuneScape is shearing sheep and making cakes in Lumbridge, kind of just come see how far it's come. Suddenly you have the sprawling jungle landmass and swamps of land out of time, and these hulking great creatures to fight. It's quite the sea change.
All right, thanks a lot for taking time out.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good rest of your work day.
Enjoy, get some
You
sleep.
too.
Yeah, I'll try. Cheers.
Cheers, man.